Welcome back to Hollywood Impact. It is me, Christian McCray, and of course, Eric Grubbs, as always.
Hello there.
Oh my gosh, we're already getting into it. We're not even 5 seconds into this thing. We're talking Star Wars.
Star Wars
It's going to be all Star Wars week, so we're going to release a separate episode for each trilogy of Star Wars films, and kind of just discussing them and maybe what we would change and some of our nitpicks and, you know, just our opinions about them. So anyways, we're going to start with the prequel trilogy.
The prequels.
Yes, my generation's worth of Star Wars movies.
So you're considered Gen Z, right? You're Gen Z. All right, we're going to establish this right now. You're Gen Z.
Okay.
I'm a young Gen Xer.
Okay.
I want to be perfectly clear before we start getting into this. I am not a Star Wars expert.
Okay. Yeah, same either. Yeah.
Now, I am more than a casual fan. I grew up on the original trilogies. If it's live action, I've seen it. Mm-hmm. I've seen a handful of animated things. I know I need to watch more. So I'm a little more than a casual fan, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a fanatic. So some of my takes and stuff might be out there. Just relax.
Oh yeah, it's all personal. It's all from the heart. It's not like, oh, I read the books and I read like the extended universe and blah blah blah.
I know of some of that stuff, but I'm not. I'm not going to sit and debate someone who is an expert because I'm not an expert.
No, it's more or less like how these are like just as movies, and not necessarily like how does this compare to the Star Wars lore and the universe and all that stuff. It's more about like just by movie how it holds up, kind of on its own, or by trilogy in this sense.
So Phantom Menace.
So the Phantom Menace is the first one. It's a pretty polarizing movie, I would say, because I think when it first came out, people were like, oh, like it's a new Star Wars movie, and then over time, people have gone to crap on it quite a bit.
I don't think it was over time for me. It was right off the bat.
You're right off the bat, like, I hate this.
Listen, this movie pissed me off, Christian.
Really?
So Return of the Jedi came out in 1983.
Okay.
All right. And now it's 1999, and we've got the next Star Wars movie.
Correct.
Live action.
Right.
Now, earlier in the 90s, Lucas re-released the original trilogy, added some stuff. We can talk about that when we talk about those episodes. But this is my first time in like 16 years going to a theater to see a Star Wars movie.
And this happens.
Now, I watched the trailer. I didn't think was bad at the time. The title, I don't like the title. Mm-hmm. I think we could do better with the title. But it's like a long time ago, galaxy far, far away, and you're getting excited. And then the opening crawl, right? Mm-hmm. Iconic Star Wars thing, opening crawl. And we're talking about the taxation of trade routes.
Yep. Politics.
Right off the bat.
It's the most political movie.
I'm like, what are we doing?
Sure.
And like, that almost did it for me right there. It's like, okay, this is what we're talking about. And, I don't know.
I bet you that because it was very like politicky, I wonder if it would have done better as like having that time placement be like a little TV series.
Yeah.
About kind of like if they wanted to lean into the politics rather than making it a prequel Anakin Skywalker movie sort of thing.
I mean, like, I was excited beforehand because it's a great cast. Mm-hmm. Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. I can get with that.
Yeah, love Liam Neeson.
Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's fine. Natalie Portman. Yeah. The original Emperor is in this.
Oh, he's in
all of it.
That's crazy. I didn't know that until like a couple years ago, where he had talked about like, he looks he looks older in the original trilogy, but he was younger.
He was like 37 in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's really cool.
Yeah, but no, this movie sucks. The Phantom Menace sucks. The title sucks. The CGI I'm not even mad at because that's just what we had at the time.
For that time period.
For that time, it was fine. Good. Now you rewatch it now, and I did rewatch this with an open mind, hoping, all right, maybe it's not as bad as I remembered, and I was even more mad than I was before. Because they're so terrible. The Gungans, give me a break. Jar Jar Binks is awful. People are a little bit racist. Like, they do some voices in the prequel trilogies that I don't have enough levels of melanin in me to do these voices, so I'm not going to do them.
Wow.
But there's some hints of,
Yeah, and it's a very strange movie. That's the best way I can put it. It's the weirdest movie of all the Star Wars movies, because most of the characters are just weird. Things that happen are weird. The way things happen are weird, and the dialogue choices are very weird. And so it's just a whole lot of weird in one movie. And I think it's because they wanted to go so many different directions with it. And one of them is, well, it's now marketed to
preschoolers,
to kids, like for toys. And, you know, like that's kind of what Transformers gets like raked over the coals for. And, you know, like I get it from like a business standpoint, but when you're messing with a series of movies that you know, just recently got off its third one, like, you know, like what was it, like 17 years ago or prior to that, however long, that people like have grown to love, all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're doing this prequel trilogy about Anakin Skywalker, and we're starting with marketing toys for kids. I don't know. I don't like that idea. I don't like that direction.
And I didn't like a little kid Anakin.
No.
I thought it would have been better. Now, I know they probably hadn't discovered Hayden Christensen yet, and they couldn't have casted him, but an older Anakin would have made more sense to me.
It would have made more sense, especially with things like Padme.
Because that's just weird, because, I mean, I know she's probably, I think in real life she was about 18, and maybe she was supposed to be younger in The Phantom Menace.
Maybe.
But he's like 8.
And she's like twice his height, so it's like,
yeah,
come on, that's weird. Come on, stop it.
But if they would have had one that was closer to age than, you know, Padme, that would have been cool. And like, I just got tired of all the Yippee and the Annie and all that. I was just over it.
I mean, if anything, they could have made Padme just as young as he was, and then not make her a political figure in the movie to keep the politics going forward. Have it be more, you know, about the council, or more about the Jedi Council more than anything. That way it would seem more natural, because the reason why they didn't have Anakin even be older is because the council said, oh, well, he's too old to be trained to be a Jedi. So if you make him even older, then...
But he's 8.
Yeah.
He's too old already, and he's 8.
Well, you got to start them early.
These Jedis,
you know?
The Jedi Council, man. I got some issues with those guys.
That's part of brainwashing, is you got to start as early as you can.
Good grief.
Because now he's starting to get his own independent thought.
And it's the stuff that was good was just wasted. Like Darth Maul. Darth Maul's a cool character. Mm-hmm. And I know they did some stuff later with him, but we could have had some dialogue when they're fighting and they got the force field thing that comes up and they got to wait, and like, you could have had like some dialogue or something there.
Yeah, just silent.
But it's just silent. And it could have been, you know, Qui-Gon Jinn, I wish they wouldn't have killed him off. Mm. They killed him and they just burned him.
Yep.
Like the ending funeral. It's like, oh, let's just regular fire and we're going to burn him.
Yeah.
What? Like, how long are they going to stay there? Until the flesh starts melting off?
Until he's done.
Oh my gosh.
Until he's done cooking. Let him cook.
You know, I did like Shmi Skywalker too. I thought that was an interesting character.
Well, she's very sweet, and she added a more like down to earth element to the movie, which I thought was very helpful. But she was only in it for a very small portion. Yeah. So she wasn't even in it for that long.
And I don't like the whole Immaculate Conception, midichlorian, whatever. It's like give Anakin a dad that we just don't know about.
Yeah.
And you can play around with that later on, but I don't know. I guess wasn't there a comic that came out, a Vader comic, where it was like the Emperor was the one responsible for
the Emperor, or like Darth Plagueis or something. I don't like. I've tried to look up like theories and stuff like that about that.
Yeah.
I'm not even on a full following of where that goes, because I've just kind of given up. I'm just like, well, he just is born by the Force somehow by some person or not, and you know what? That's fine. I'm not gonna spend too much brain power trying to figure out, because at the end of it, like, if I'm spending so much time trying to figure out like who his parent is, it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Right.
And so now I'm like, oh, now it's like a research project, and I'm trying to watch this so I don't have to do homework at school. So I don't want to do more school whenever I'm doing this. I want to just enjoy the movie.
But no, after going like 18 years waiting for a new Star Wars movie, 16 years, whatever it was, and then getting The Phantom Menace.
Such a disappointment.
I was disappointed.
Okay. So is there anything else that you would change about it?
I think if you have an older Anakin, you could have done a cooler pod race, like a Mad Max style pod race. If we didn't market it to preschoolers, we could have done better.
You're like chained up to a car and playing guitar while flames are spitting out.
But I would have liked to have seen more with Shmi, and maybe like, if Qui-Gon just gets hurt enough to where he can't train Anakin, but he's still alive and he's kind of looking over after Shmi, and I don't know. I just don't even watch. If I have a choice, I won't watch this again.
Interesting.
Just like I'm just done with it. Yeah, I'm done with it now.
Wow, man.
It sucks. Phantom Menace. I'd change the title.
Yeah.
How about Dawn of the Empire? Wouldn't that make sense?
You could do that.
The Phantom Menace.
That would also make sense for the third movie, though.
Yeah, it would.
Well.
But it's whatever.
I'm
done with this one.
I don't hate the prequel trilogy. It has a lot of problems. The first one I'm kind of on. Like it's I don't hate it. Like it doesn't piss me off.
It pisses me off.
but like in most times that I rewatch the entire series of Star Wars, I don't remember even where I heard this from. But the order that I watch it in is like 4, 5, and then skip 1 because 1 is optional, and then just go 2, 3, and then back to 6.
And then 7, 8, 9.
Right. So it's like you see Luke, and then Luke versus Vader. Vader says that he's his father. Get the flashback to like real Star Wars Anakin.
Yeah.
And then you go back to now everything kind of makes sense, and so there's context for all of it. So I don't really mind the prequel trilogy, but this next one, Attack of the Clones, this one's special. This one has a special place in my heart because it is. It's not the first Star Wars movie I ever watched. That one was The Phantom Menace, but it was the first one that I owned. Was Attack of the Clones. I had it on a VHS tape back when those were a thing.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I loved it. Like, I loved it. Well, I was a kid. I was small. But I loved it because like I had never seen anything like it. It was so particular and peculiar, I guess. And I'm a kid and I'm watching these people just swing around like laser swords all the time. I just thought it was fun. And there's clone troopers. There's the Battle of Geonosis. And then when I'm older, I'm like, yeah, this movie's kind of bad.
This movie sucks too.
It does not. I don't think it sucks.
It does suck.
Like I don't think it's a good movie, but I don't think that it's devoid of enjoyment.
It sucks slightly less than Phantom Menace.
If I were to say a movie sucks, it means like I cannot watch this and enjoy it. But I can watch it and take some enjoyment out of it. And part of it is because the dialogue is so bad,
dude,
that it's funny. There's so many good memes.
Yeah, but it's
that
not supposed to be funny.
No, but it's an ironic product of our time, and I think that's something that's very interesting. That it was not meant to be. It was meant to be a Star Wars prequel story epic about Anakin Skywalker, and it became ironically really funny, and part of me says that I'm okay with that.
It's the cringiest Star Wars movie of all time.
It is, for sure.
And for sure. Anakin is super thirsty in this episode. In episode 2.
Bro is going at it.
Bro's going at it with Padme. I'm like, it's been 10 years, right? There's like a 10-year gap between Phantom Menace, and all he talks about is thinking about her every day and how thinking of her is intoxicating.
No, yeah, his speech to her is like really
It's like, I wish I would dream about you.
Like
bro, tone it down. You were 8 when you saw her last.
Well, where's your dad? Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to tell me that there wasn't anybody else in those 10 years that he came across? Yeah. He's just thirsting over Padme the whole time?
Oh my gosh.
There's so many red flags there that he is a bad boyfriend and Padme just ignores him.
Because he has obsessive tendencies.
Yeah.
And that's a super red flag. This guy is literally like...
And it's not Hayden's fault.
No.
Like, I like Hayden. Don't get me wrong. But the writers and the dialogue that he had, the script that he was reading from, that's the problem.
Oh,
it's not Hayden Christensen.
No, he's actually a good actor. I've seen him in other things, and he's actually he I don't think he's a great actor, and like I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, like at all. But there's a bunch of other people I would take over him, but I think that he's underappreciated because he was given a really bad script and bad dialogue.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
And he makes do with what he has. So eventually, if I ever think of Anakin Skywalker, I think of him. And so, and of course, part of that is probably because that's the only live action Anakin Skywalker we've really had. But when I heard he was coming back for the Ahsoka show, I was excited because I'm glad that he gets a chance to do it again with better dialogue, and it's way better.
Yeah,
And then when he's on screen, I'm like, that's Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
that's him. Because my real Anakin is Star Wars Clone Wars TV show Anakin.
Sure.
But anyways,
can we talk about how bad the Jedi Council is at being Jedis?
They're just.
How do you not know?
They're not good people.
That Palpatine is got something going on. It takes we're into the third movie before they start to realize it. And you got all these Jedis with Yoda and Obi-Wan and all the others, and they don't get the sense that Palpatine's bad.
Not until mid-third movie.
I mean, I don't,
right before it's all about to go down.
I almost don't blame Anakin for being pissed at him.
Oh, no. And Qui-Gon did not like the council either.
Yeah.
He just spent his whole time being F you, council, because there's a great meme I saw on Instagram the other day, and it was... He walked out and Obi-Wan goes, what did the council say? And Qui-Gon said, F the council. And just walked. And I'm like, but that's his attitude.
Yeah.
But that's because Qui-Gon knew that the council, they just kind of put a veil over their eyes. And Yoda's what?
830 years old.
So in those amount of years, you don't think he would pick on and deceit?
Yeah,
manipulation, just a little bit.
They should have been a little bit more there.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure what I think about Count Dooku either. Maybe it's
love the actor who plays him. Love Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he's good, but I don't. Maybe it's the name, Dooku. And I know there's stuff that's come out since then.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus that gives you a little more background on him, but he wasn't bad, I guess.
No, he was actually in my opinion, I think he's the most interesting character in the movie. And because, he's kind of he's working for the Sith, but he also talks to Obi-Wan about how he knew Qui-Gon, he was Qui-Gon's master.
Right.
And he's we could take down the Emperor and do all this stuff, or he was he was someone that kind of saw everything before it happened. And, he was just another pawn in the game for Emperor Palpatine. But I liked, he's very he was very stylist.
Yeah.
He was more like a knight, like a seasoned knight, that kind of figure.
Now, was it Attack of the Clones where we first see Yoda get down? With
Yoda going crazy on ketamine.
That was kind of cool. That I did like seeing Yoda finally do Jedi stuff.
It is cool.
Because we didn't get to see any of that in The Phantom Menace. I thought it was cool seeing all of the Jedis at the end.
Oh, yeah.
But that's literally the only thing good about this movie.
So you like the fact that Yoda kind of showed off his Jedi skills, but a lot of people didn't, because a lot of people think that they like the version from the original trilogy better. Because in that trilogy, he's more in tune with the Force. He's more like a wise mentor that's all about conceptualization and less about.
No, I liked seeing him do stuff. I like seeing the action part of that.
I do too. I'm he's a Jedi.
He's a Jedi. Let's see him do some Jedi stuff besides moving things around.
He can handle himself, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I like the fact that if he's backed into a corner, he could throw down if he needed to.
Attack of the Clones. Let's move on.
Once again, I don't really hate on that movie. It's got funny moments, but it is definitely weird.
Yeah, it sucks.
And
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. This is the best of the prequel trilogy,
which is not hard to be.
Not
it's not hard to be the best of these three movies.
But do you like this movie?
It's fine. It's fine. It's good at the end. Dude, this movie's not as good as you think it is.
No, it's pretty good. I like this movie. This movie's good.
All right, why?
I think that even though it shares a lot of similarities and flaws that the first two do, because it's still directed by the same person. There's still, but it's how do I put this? It's really like a diamond in the rough, but it's pretty far down in there. But if you really take away all that stuff, if you peel away some of those crappy layers, there's some real cool stuff in here. it kind of expands on more Force abilities that the Jedi and Sith are able to do. The relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan kind of, comes to a clash, and you actually get to see them like banter back and forth and have more like dialogue and spend more time with each other.
What are we going to do? Spring the trap. Was that fun in that movie or Attack of the Clones? I think it was. Spring the trap.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, yeah, I think that was that one. Anyway. The fight scenes were choreographed so well. They're much better because in the second one, there's a lot of shots, and I'll try to pull it up, but there's like characters with like their faces, and it's just like a laser doing this, like to show that they're. But in this movie, it always gives you like the zoomed out, and you get to see the full thing. The choreography is insane. It's the best choreography of any Star Wars movie up to date. And I say that like unapologetically, especially for those fight scenes. The CGI is really good. Seeing Anakin turn to the dark side is really cool. Some of the dialogue is really cringy, like when Anakin's talking to Padme, it's like, well, that's because I'm so in love with you and stuff like that. Yeah. Like that stuff's a little cringy, but the music work, oh my gosh, the music in this movie is so good. When Anakin and Obi-Wan are battling and it's playing Battle of the Heroes, and there's a hint of Anakin and Padme's love song in the background in certain moments. It's sad. It gets you invested because, and it sucks that that's the only movie of the three that really get you invested into Anakin's character, but it really is. Well, because it does things so differently.
Yeah, but everything you just described proves my point that the only thing good about this movie is the end of it. It's the end of it. Yeah, it's a cool fight scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Don't get me wrong. They could have went more dark with when he turned. Like when he goes into the Jedi Council or the Jedi Temple, and there's the kids around there, and they're looking to him for help, and we don't see it. Imagine seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just starts slaying these kids.
Oh yeah.
Then I think that would have been a bold move, which I get. They probably couldn't have done it, but I don't know.
It's a really dark movie, but I'm not trying to be hypocritical because I did say at the beginning that we're judging these based movie on just by the movies.
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction is, oh well, if you see the Clone Wars TV show, which is canon, which is more expanded stuff, it makes Revenge so much better. It makes that movie much better.
Okay.
But because if we're judging it based on if you're just purely seeing this with nothing else, just the prequel trilogy 1, 2, and 3, yes, this movie is not as good as I purport it to be. And I will admit that. Like, I'm willing to compromise. But I still think you're wrong and it's a good movie because Revenge of the Sith has so many good, like, dark. It has a similar structure than the other two, but it takes it in such a more emotional and dark direction, which I think is good for Star Wars. Because Star Wars, who knew, especially from the original the original 4, 5, and 6, has heroes and villains and stuff like that, but it's a pretty dark universe. A lot of bad stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I like when they kind of lean more into, the Jedi and the Sith. That stuff's kind of scary. That stuff's kind of intense.
They did Mace Windu wrong.
They did. I will say that.
Mace Windu.
My boy Mace Windu.
We did. Yeah, I wish we would see more of him somehow. Like,
maybe he's not dead.
Maybe. The conversation with Anakin and Palpatine in the theater or whatever, it's not bad. I'll give you that. But it's not good. No. It's like, okay, we get it.
It's very over the top.
Yeah.
It is very over the top. Which
good. It's like enough already.
I'm too
You all right, bud?
I'm good.
No, listen, Revenge of the Sith, it's not terrible. It's not the worst. It's better than some of the other movies we'll talk about in different episodes. It's definitely the best of this trilogy.
Okay.
Like, for me, my rating of this trilogy is 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
But it's
I agree.
But still, it's not much competition to be better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
It's definitely 3, 2, 1, but it goes like 3 and then like 2, 1 for me. There's it's a much farther gap, and I think it's because there's more depth in the characters in the last one. So I know that you and I feel a little bit differently on that, but that's just my opinion on
That's
it.
fine.
So Yeah. It's fine that you're wrong. Whatever. But I will agree, as a whole, the prequel trilogy
sucks.
It's It's whatever. It's all right.
It could have been a lot better than what it was.
So what would you rate the trilogy as a whole? Like on a scale from 1 to 10? Just like the prequel, the prequel trilogy.
A 4. Dude, that's how bad the first two were. It's a 4.
Okay.
It's a 4.
I have to think about where I'm rating like the movies.
Yeah, if I'm taking all three and it's a cumulative score, it's a 4, dog.
It'd probably put me at like a 6.5.
Dude, that's just the difference in our generations.
Maybe.
It's got to be.
But like for me, like 6.5 is, it's all right. There's some enjoyable stuff in there. Because I'm a super casual guy, and it's not hard for me to enjoy a movie. There's not a lot of movies I can think of where I'm like, I hate this. Like, this sucks. I don't want to watch it. There's like I can maybe count on both hands how many movies I've seen in my life that could possibly even be on that list. So for me, if I go below a 6, I hate you. I hate it.
I'm probably giving Revenge of the Sith a 6. Mm-hmm. But the other two is like a 1 and 2, so that's what drops the score down for me.
I see. Yeah, that's totally fair. And at the end of all of this, you'll get to see our cumulative list of the full ranking, ranking and all that stuff. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this one, and stay tuned for the rest of this week for the other 2 episodes to release. So anyways, thanks for coming on, Eric.
Yep.
As always. And thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like this video. And whatever you thought about our thoughts, comment below and let us know. As always, we will see you later.